Lord of the universe, you have given most mankind a strong desire to do good, to be honest, to serve others, and to faithfully fulfill their obligations to their neighbors. Help us as Rotarians and humans to do good. Help us as Rotarians and humans to be honest and ethical in all our dealings. Help us as Rotarians and humans to serve others. And help us as Rotarians and humans to faithfully fulfill our obligations as neighbors to our community, our nation, and the world. Amen.
Good one. Here we are. Thank you very much, Chris. That was fantastic. Pauline, do we have any birthdays or anniversaries?
President Steve, from now until Tuesday, there are no birthdays and no anniversaries to celebrate, but we should remember Reg Freethy. I doubt that he's on the call, but he has given 31 years to Rotary.
Wow, 31 years, that's fantastic. Wow. Well done, Reg. Hopefully you watched the YouTube video. Well done. Okay, well, with that, let's move on to our program. Joe, I think you're introducing our speakers, right?
I am, yes. And, you know, I'm always struck by how many really super interesting and really compelling people there are. Well, compelling stories, interesting people with compelling stories we have here in Clarington. And two of them are with us tonight. I have been in love with their story ever since I heard about it in the fall of 2017. And it's really kind of ironic because I had recently left the program Metro Morning at CBC, and there they were, they came on afterwards. So I never got a chance to meet them. But when I did join Rotary afterwards, I thought they would make a great segment at one of our meetings. And so Cynthia Reyes is a former reporter and children's television producer and author, and like me, retired from the CBC. Hi, Cynthia.
All right.
And her daughter, Lauren Reyes Grange, is a digital marketer. She is now all grown up, but was only 4 years old when this story began. They live in Curtis, and they are the co-authors of an award-winning children's series of books starring Myrtle the Purple Turtle. They are here to tell us about that series and their work supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion, a phrase I always love. Thanks and welcome to Rotary.
Thank you.
Cynthia, I'm going to start with you. Tell us about the birth of Myrtle the Turtle. The Purple Turtle.
So I was an executive producer at the CBC in charge of a whole stream of television programs for children. And so used to writing, but also producing, directing, and executive producing stories for children. One day I came home and I knew that something had happened with my younger daughter. Something was making her upset, couldn't quite figure it out. I think it was the next day we realized when she refused to bring her doll, a black doll named Quentin, to school with her, that something was odd, something was off, because she brought this doll everywhere. But she wouldn't bring him, and we couldn't quite figure out why. We finally got the story from Lauren, which was that when she brought her doll to school, the other kids were refusing to play with her because they thought his skin was dirty. And that had been going on for some time, and she just finally decided, that's it. I won't bring my doll to school. She was almost 5 years old. And of course, we're a Black family. Lauren and I are fairly sort of light skinned, but most people in our family are dark skinned, like Quentin. And so that kind of stuff was going on inside her head and in her heart, and she couldn't always explain it. And I sat down one night and wrote her a story about a turtle who was purple and didn't realize anything was odd about that until she bumped into another turtle who made fun of her because of her color. And we read that story to Lauren, all of us, her older sister, her dad, and I, practically every night. We'd read her that story till she knew it by heart, hoping that it would make a difference in her and make her see that just because your skin color and the skin color of your doll was different wasn't bad. In fact, it was a good thing. And so that's how this story came to be written. 27 years later, the Toronto Star did an interview with Lauren and me. And after that interview, we thought, well, maybe we should publish this book, which meant getting it illustrated and getting it published. And so that's what happened.
Wow. And can you hold the book up? I don't have a copy with me.
Lauren's got a copy.
There it is. There she is, Myrtle the Purple Turtle. And that's the first book, but there are now 4.
Yes.
3 of them co-written by Lauren with Cynthia. Do you want to read a page or two?
Lauren's going to read a page or two.
Okay.
Sure. All right. Myrtle is a turtle. Like most turtles, there are some things that Myrtle loves to do. She loves to swim in the pond. She loves to eat bugs. She loves to go for long walks without anyone telling her to hurry up. One day, Myrtle went for a walk. It was a slow walk because turtles usually walk very slowly. It was Myrtle's favorite kind of day, a nice warm day. Myrtle was happy. Thud. Something crashed into Myrtle. Ouch, she shouted. Look where you're going. You look where you're going, a little voice yelled back. Myrtle looked up. It was another turtle, and this turtle was staring at Myrtle from head to shell to feet and back to her face. I'll show you the illustrations because they're just so beautiful.
Oh my, perfect.
What are you? The turtle asked. Myrtle thought the turtle really meant to say, who are you? So she replied in the most polite voice she could find, my name is Myrtle. I didn't say, who are you? Said the other turtle in a rude voice. I said, what are you? This must be a very silly turtle, thought Myrtle. Can't she see that I'm also a turtle? But she didn't want to say this out loud because she did not want to be rude. So instead, she said in a friendly voice, I'm a turtle, just like you.
Wow. Yeah, I hate to use the word, but that's really deep. Like it really is. I mean, you're talking about humanity, and she didn't see, I guess, turtle, whatever the turtle humanity is. So tell me about Myrtle. Describe, I mean, she's purple and she's a turtle. And that's all we know about her. Tell me about some of the qualities. What kind of qualities does she have?
Myrtle is, I would say, a leader who doesn't always know that she's a leader, but she's put in situations where she has to lead. She has to take a chance, whether it's trying out for a soccer team. When the other animals tell her that turtles don't play soccer, she decides that she's going to step up. And with the help of her friends encouraging her, she's going to show those other animals that turtles can do anything. She's a type of turtle who stands up for her friends and for new people or new animals, like a fox who is new to the big pond. And the other animals are terrified of foxes. And Myrtle says, no, I have to be kind. I have to be nice and welcoming and inclusive. So yeah, Myrtle's a great turtle. I think that's pretty clear. She's brave, but she's also like, I guess my mom would say that Myrtle is me. So if you think of it in that way, it's that as human beings, we make mistakes, but the whole point of it is to learn from your mistakes and to do better. And so that's what Myrtle, the character of Myrtle, strives to be, is relatable in that sense, but also inspiring young kiddos and our older readers as well to stand up for others, be kind, be inclusive, and it's okay to, dance to the beat of your own drum. That's cool too. That's Myrtle.
You were, the two of you do a lot of, going into schools and reading the books. During the pandemic, you've been doing this online, and you've been able to read these, like in schools all over North America. I don't know if it goes beyond North America, but, I see some of the postings and it's really quite remarkable what some of the reaction is. Talk about some of the reaction you get when when you take this book to schools across North America.
The children always surprise us. And I sometimes think kids today are brighter than we were, because the observations they make and the questions that they ask just blow us away.
Like what?
In fact, you should know that the three sequels to the first Myrtle book were inspired by stories that the children shared with us. So when when Lauren described Myrtle being brave and standing up for others, that's one of the books in the series. When she talks about looking out for new people, we heard from children that how important it was to be welcomed by other students when they showed up in a new school. And we also heard about times when they weren't welcome. We heard Myrtle's Game, the second book, was based on a young girl's experience when she tried to play with the boys at recess, and they were playing a game, and they said, "No, you can't play because you're a girl." Well, that then inspired the story of a turtle who asked to play with the other animals and is told you can't because you're a turtle, and everybody knows that they're slow. So every story that we write somehow is inspired by something that a child told us, but which we probably heard any number of times as we went from school to school.
I just want to get away from, I know that we only have till 7:30, and there's a couple of other things I wanted to talk about.
So we're
Cynthia,
okay.
you
Like,
were,
take your time, Joe. There's no rush for things.
no, actually Lauren has to leave at 7:30, so.
I have to
but,
leave at 7:40.
7:40. So Cynthia can continue a little bit. So Lauren, actually, I'll throw this question at you. When you were talking about kids and how important it is to, to give kids the opportunities that they need, you work for a company, and you and your company have instituted a number of scholarship/mentorship programs. Can you talk about that?
Sure. I work for Reason One. It's a tech shop based out of Toronto. We have offices in Charleston in the US as well. So at the end of last summer, or the beginning of last summer, when George Floyd was murdered, many organizations were putting out statements and pledging solidarity with the Black community. My company wanted to go one step further, and instead of just making a statement, they wanted to invest in the Black community. So I'm a strategist, and what I do all day is I do research, I look at numbers, I look at data, trying to make sense of why things happen. And I wanted to better understand, why is it, as a Black woman working in the tech industry, why is it that I'm typically the only Black woman in the room? So I started doing some digging, and what I found is that within Canada, tech workforce, Black tech workers only make up 2.6% of the tech workforce, and they are the lowest paid. Black tech workers in the US make up 7%. In Silicon Valley, tech workers make up only 1% of the tech workers. And then across the board in both countries, Black tech workers are less likely to receive mentoring compared to their peers. My company agreed that that's just unacceptable, and they wanted to do something about it. So we launched the Reason One Mentorship and Scholarship Program. It's open to Black tech students with the aspirations of working within tech from between the ages of 17 to 35. And yeah, we are going to be awarding around $15,000 in scholarships. We're also partnering each of the program candidates with a member of the senior leadership team for mentoring. We're also hosting a professional development day. So all 6 of the program participants, they'll be able to take part in mock job interviews to help prepare them for the job market. So they'll get to meet with each of our 50+ staff members and sit down with them, get some feedback on their CVs, their portfolios, and really just go through the entire interview process to really prepare them for what the job market will be like when they're ready to apply for their first job.
And is this
So
shortfall
we
in the
just,
tech?
sorry?
No, is this shortfall?
So
Go ahead,
so
finish.
I was going to say that we're just in the deliberation period right now. The number of applicants was, and not just the number, but the quality of applicants was incredibly overwhelming. I've like my mom mentioned, when we visit these schools and speak to young people, we're always blown away by how brilliant these young kids are. I can confirm that the children, the adults, the young people really that applied for this program are so incredibly advanced and brilliant, and the work that they have been doing since they were like 15 years old is just outstanding. And so the deliberation process has been quite tough, but we have made it down to our final 6, and we'll be letting our winners know next week.
That's fantastic. Good for you. That's great. Another thing I wanted to ask you about, and this is, I guess, speaks to the type of community that we have, the type of community that we'd like to have. You are on Clarington's Anti-Black Racism Subcommittee, which is a subcommittee, or I guess Racism Committee, which is a subcommittee of the municipalities Diversity Advisory Committee. Lots of committees there. You've been particularly concerned about the issue of racist symbols that you see here in our own community, and you've taken that to the committee. Can you tell that story, please?
Sure thing. So my husband, my daughter, and I, we moved to Clarington just at the beginning of COVID last year. And I'm on maternity leave at the time, so I would be walking a lot through the neighborhoods in Curtis. And one day I counted 3 Confederate flags within a 1.5 kilometer radius of our home, just hanging in people's garages as though it was nothing. And I come from Toronto. So I was just shocked to see the Confederate flag just so casually being displayed on somebody's property. These are houses like facing Nash. So there's like hundreds of vehicles passing this house every day, and there's a Confederate flag. And I just decided that that's unacceptable. And I plan on staying in Clarington for the foreseeable future. And I don't want my daughter, when she's able to understand what that symbol means, I just don't want her to see it. So I presented it a compelling speech to the council of Clarington. And my hope is that we will enact a bylaw that's been enacted in, sorry? Oh, Ivan, you're not on mute. I'm hoping that they will enact a bylaw that will ban symbols of hate from public and private spaces, just like they have done in Uxbridge, in Collingwood and Owen Sound. I just think that if you want to be promoting hatred, I just don't think that you should feel comfortable doing so in our community. So I would just like to see it gone.
And is that reasonably going to be passed, do you think, as a bylaw?
I've been working on this for a year, and it's been moving incredibly slow. But in that time, Uxbridge has come forward and said that they want it gone, and they've enacted a bylaw. And there's more regions around us that are starting to enact these bylaws. So I think that Clarington will follow suit. It's just taking us a little bit longer to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Joe,
yes,
I'd just
Cynthia,
like to add that Lauren said, it came from Toronto. Lauren's husband is from Coburg, and our family, in fact, lived in both Warkworth and Baltimore, just north of Coburg, and we'd never encountered Confederate flags. So
my parents have always made us live in smaller towns.
Yes,
So
that was one of my questions.
Ontario,
Yeah, you moved to these small towns, and very often when you're the only people of color, is that right?
Yes, just about always. It's interesting to be in Curtis at this time, and actually to see how Curtis has become more diverse. And when we go into the schools, we certainly see that it's actually quite a bit more diverse than I expected. But I can tell you that in Warkworth, we were the only visibly Black family. And I say visibly Black because some people look white, but identify as Black. And the only Black family as well in Baltimore. We're used to being the only one.
For reduction from the required 17 meters to 16 meters.
Gord, can you mute your, thank you. Sorry, you were saying, Cynthia?
Yeah, no, just that we're used to being the only Black family wherever we've lived. But my husband and I both thought it was really important for our children to realize that to be Canadian was not just to live in a big city. You know, Toronto sees itself as the center of the world, certainly the Canadian world. And in fact, we've lived in other places that in different ways could probably vie for that title just because of the quality of life. We love small towns, we love farms. We had a farm in Warkworth, and it was really important for us, our daughter, younger daughter, when my husband and I were both working up in Yellowknife for a while, training CBC journalists, our younger daughter, Lauren, went to school up there and lived with a Dene family. You know, in fact, the premier of the Northwest Territories with his family. So it's really important for us for our children to develop a sense of the diversity of Canada, both geographically, but also the cultures of the various communities in which we lived.
Lauren, what's that done for you, living in these?
Oh my goodness, it's but I am so grateful for those opportunities to live in smaller towns, to travel. I went to school in Italy before university, lived in Yellowknife with my parents while they were working there. It has exposed me to so many different people, cultures, which I think has created a more balanced perspective that I have, where I am always curious to learn more. I'm quite comfortable being different, like being the one that's different in the room. I think that's probably because I've just been exposed to so much since I was young.
Yeah, you know, the one thing that we're starting to realize too is that diversity is more than what color your skin is. I mean, there are
Absolutely
different. I mean, we did one of our guests a few weeks ago was talking about neurodiversity. You know, which is something that's happening. And one last question for you. I know you guys have to go. We should mention that Cynthia, your husband, is Hamlin Grange, who is a former reporter and Police Services Board commissioner, but also a leading diversity consultant in the corporate world. And so you guys are really, I mean, you've made diversity a way of life. Why is it so important to you guys? Just the last word.
Well, first of all, that's the family. The family that I'm from is very diverse. So, you know, we have various races and cultures. And so I think it's just, I grew up in a multicultural, multi-religious family. And my ancestors are both the people who had slaves and plantations, and the people who were enslaved, as well as those from China. You know, we have on both sides Jews, Lebanese. So it's racially and ethnically and religiously a completely screwed up family, okay? And I love it.
Well,
so that's
so
it's really important for me to live and for my children to be comfortable in a world like that. And Canada is a world like that, you know? And so certainly having worked in media, I began to realize that the media play an extremely important role in reflecting the country to itself and reflecting the nation to itself. Because you know, when you watch or ingest media, all you see are a bunch of white privileged faces, university educated, living in cities. That's not Canada. That's a tiny fraction of Canada, and becoming tinier every day. And if that is your impression, then that's your impression about who has a right to be here. That's your impression about who has a right to be a leader. You know, and let's face it, that I'm the person who helped to bring about Toronto's and one of Canada's first female firefighters. You know, because I just wondered why are women not firefighters, and are there any that are strong enough to do the job? And that's how Diane Olin became Toronto's first firefighter. I arranged for her to get weight training and became her mentor. And so that happened. It's to me, it's never been right to exclude people based on gender or on color or on size or on, any of those things. That's not Canada. My vision of Canada is a very inclusive one. It's one where we get the very best out of each of us, and we don't throw up barriers and lock doors. And we do what we can to open up opportunities, as Lauren is doing and as her company is doing, and as probably each of us here on this call have been called upon to do in some way in our lives, right?
Yes.
Am
Yes,
I
for
right?
sure.
Based on the invocation earlier, which I loved, by the way, I just thought that is something to live up to. And I'm sure in your own way, you have and are living up to that.
We are trying our best, and you guys are welcome anytime, by the way. We would love to see more of you. I know
Joe, before we go, there's one thing I wanted to tell you, because I think you were probably hoping I would and I forgot. The Myrtle books and have been read not only by children and teachers, but also by parents and grandparents. And one great grandparent, 87 years old, told me that the books have moved her to tears. And I'm telling you the story because I'm telling you that when we're singled out in a negative way as children, it can haunt us for the rest of our lives. She was 7 years old in a new town, and she had red hair. And she was mercilessly bullied, and neither the teachers nor her parents knew what to do about it. So she was just mercilessly bullied. And as she told us about that experience and why reading the Myrtle stories were so important to her at 87 years old, I was moved to tears, because what I realized is that she had never really gotten over it. And so I just want to point out that no matter who you are, no matter who you are, it's really important for us to be to think about the impact on children when they are negatively singled out, but even on adults.
Yes, that's for sure. Lauren, you have to leave, but I'm wondering, Steve, do we have time for a question from?
Yeah, we've got time
somebody
for a
wanted
couple
to
of
ask
questions,
a question.
I think. Yeah,
Lauren,
one or two.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lauren. I know you have to leave. Cynthia can represent you.
We really
Lovely to meet
appreciate
you
you
all. Have a
taking
good
time out of
night.
your day, Lauren. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
John, I see you've got a question.
Yeah, in view of the story you just told us, Cynthia, maybe you should try and incorporate that into the next book.
Yeah, I mean, or it may be a separate story altogether. It may not be in the Myrtle series. I don't know, but it's certainly, you're right. It certainly has stayed with me, and it's quite similar actually to what happened to Myrtle in that first book. But we keep coming back to those themes of inclusion and exclusion and how people are hurt, but also how other people can help. That's also an important theme in our books, is how you can help someone else. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Thank
Yeah,
you,
we should
Cynthia.
mention Cynthia also has written 2 other books. They're adult books. They're, well, not adult. They're like for big people.
Careful.
Yeah, 3 books actually.
3 books. Okay, one is on gardening. I know that.
That's right.
Yeah, I think Phil Benner had a question too.
Yep. Phil?
Yeah, thanks. My question, I mean, might not be relevant. It was just a backstep to the talk about displaying symbols of hate in Clarington with regards to the Confederate flag. And my question about that, and I know your daughter's gone, so she probably can't answer, but I've dealt with that issue personally with a relative of mine who had posted a Confederate flag on their public Facebook page. And the moment that I saw it, I was upset with her about it. So I immediately had written and called her up and said, you know, what are you doing? Why are you posting something like that? I don't think you have any concept of how offside it was. And she had immediately said that she had no idea what it meant. She thought it was really cool because it was from the Dukes of Hazzard when she was a kid. So I'm wondering, like, when we talk about, you know, banning symbols of hate, and then we're also having to understand that the lack of knowledge that exists of these things for the generations, or the younger generations now, because they really haven't been so exposed to them. Is it a matter of education more than, and I'm not saying obviously don't ban it because of the historical impact and so on, but I think that education in that regard is important. And as soon as I had gone through that with her, she took it down and issued a formal apology because she had no idea on what it meant.
Yeah.
And
Thank
I had
you for
as
that.
well, I had as well at another point, she, you know, when after the George Floyd incident happened, there were a lot of light came to it, obviously, and there were comments about taking Aunt Jemima off the pancake bottle and all of that. And again, she had gone on about, you know, oh, this is ridiculous, an icon of this and of that, and then to educate her as well in terms of where that came from and what that represented, and that wasn't a real person, and kind of the symbol, the symbol that was very deeply rooted in racism. And again, that was nothing but a matter of education of someone who had just only had the last 30 years worth of exposure to it and didn't ever do any research into it. So I'm wondering, rather than classify it as hatred, as much as being uneducated towards what that actually is.
Yeah, thank you for that story, Phil. And Lauren will tell you that part of it is ignorance. And some of it is people feeling cool. There are people who know the background, but deliberately do it because they think it's a cool statement about freedom, right? I should have the freedom to display this. What's interesting is that in the last few months, Lauren's noticed that it could be temporary, but Lauren's noticed that 2 of the 3 flags that were there for a long time, proudly displayed, have been removed. So maybe the persons have grown up, or maybe somebody has told them this is really painful. So I think education is a big part of it. I don't think it's the only part of it, though.
I definitely agree that it's, I mean, there's deeply rooted racism out there without question. The other comment that I had was with regards to the tech industry and underrepresentation. And it's funny that you mentioned cool, because only until recently was the tech industry ever regarded as cool. It was always, I mean, I work in the tech industry, so it's always the nerds, the geeks, the this and the that, who have ever ventured into that industry. Hey, I'm just saying, you know it, I'm just saying. So only since, Apple made everybody as unique as everybody else with their iPods and all of that, that's when people have started to venture into that business. So I can well understand the representation, because it wasn't a cool industry. It was a geeky industry, and that is fortunately changing. And I would certainly hope that those numbers are on the uprise significantly. So I wouldn't say that, I mean, again, from my position, I mean, is it an underrepresentation that has been forced? No, I think it's probably an underrepresentation that has been a result of not being a cool industry.
So again, I would agree with you, and I'd say that's not the entire answer to it either, though. For years, women have talked about being excluded from the gaming industry. Women who were interested in joining joining that industry, because they felt that the stories being told in video games were often or sometimes misogynistic, and definitely you weren't seeing women as heroes in these games, and they talked about how difficult it was to join those industries. My experience with as both as a journalist and as somebody who has tried to encourage women and minorities in a variety of fields, is that it is a more complex answer. It's not usually any one thing, And part of it too is when you don't see people like yourself, you don't think you can do it, right? So if you don't see people like yourself, you might tend to go to sectors, even those studies where you see yourself represented, right? It's also, do you have access to mentorship?
Also
You know?
streaming. I think
Yes.
a lot of Black kids years ago were, I think they've kind of changed it now,
Absolutely.
but the streaming, you know, away from sciences and academics into
Mhm.
different things was
And
pretty
being
super
encouraged.
problematic.
Yes. So you're right. It's never one thing, but it certainly is. It can be a toxic and discouraging mix of things.
Well, Cynthia, we can't thank you enough for you and Lauren taking time out of your evenings to tell us about your books, but more importantly, story. It's really valuable. It's something that Rotary International is very focused on right now: diversity, equity, and inclusion, and our club in particular is as well. So thank you so much for taking some time. Really interesting. You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of our program if you like, but we know that there are lots of things on. The Leafs winning isn't one of them, but you're anywho. Thank you again.
You know, I'm thank you so much. Lauren and I are honored to have been asked to join you, and thank you, Joe, very much for thinking of us. We wish you all the very best, and thank you for making us feel so welcome.
You're welcome anytime.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. All right, that was excellent. Before we move on, are there any happy bucks? Not seeing any hands. Ellie with a happy buck, and then Rebecca.
Ellie's got many happy bucks.
Okay. All right.
I got rid of the kneeling scooter. I got rid of the crutches. I got rid of the walking boot, and I'm almost got rid of the cane. 7 weeks, and
That's been a hell of a week for you, Ellie. You knocked down a lot of barriers there. That's excellent.
That's a couple of weeks. And I actually got behind the wheel of my car today, and I drove to the car wash.
Holy geez.
Yeah, I drove with my left foot, mind you, but I did it.
Okay. How about you, Rebecca?
I have good news. So obviously, COVID vaccines have opened for those who are over age 18. So I was able to get my COVID vaccine on the COVID. So I'm getting vaccinated on the 9th of June. And it was actually all to the power of Rotary. So I got into contact with some Rotary volunteers who are working the COVID clinic. And they shot me an email earlier this morning and saying that they had just posted 145 new appointments for people under the age of 30. So because of them, at the Coburg Rotary Club, both Dan and I were able to snag an appointment at the Coburg Community Center on June 9th. So Rotary just passed with them. It's great that I was able to have that connection if that happened.
Excellent. Thank you. That's great. Do I see any other hands? I'm my happy buck is a premonition. I'm going to climb because it's Memorial Day weekend and I'm stuck down here. So other than work and I can't sit in the pub and drink all weekend, I'm going to climb Mount Charleston, which is 11,190 feet tall. So it's going to take about 9 or 10 hours to do on Saturday. So looking forward to that. As you might expect, there'll be pictures.
Don't fall.
On
Don't
social
fall.
media. I'll try not. Well, it's a walk, a hill. It's steep at points, but it's not like I'm, climbing ropes and whatnot.
I fell off a 2-step stool.
Okay. All right.
You're not doing this alone, are you?
I am doing it alone, actually. Yep.
Yeah. Take a hippo pack with you, so you don't fade away out there.
All right. Yeah. I actually, funny enough, I had a beer with the guy that climbed it 2 weeks ago last night, and
just got out of the hospital.
He's on the mountain rescue crew, so we gave all the tips on what to do and where to go and what to watch out for. So it was pretty good. All right. With that, let's move on. We've got a bit of the program where we want our Paul Harris Fellow Committee to step forward. Let's start with Doug.
Thanks, President Steve. Just thought I'd touch on a little bit of, Paul Harris Fellow and the background and sort of the context of what Paul Harris Fellows or PHFs are. And the mission of the Rotary Foundation is to enable Rotarians to advance world understanding, goodwill and peace through the improvement of health, the support of education, and the alleviation of poverty. The Bowmanville Rotary Club and its members have donated to the Rotary Foundation, and as a result are able to recognize members of the community, including members of our own Rotary Club, who have demonstrated a shared purpose with the educational and humanitarian objectives of the Rotary Foundation. The Paul Harris Fellow recognition is named after the Rotary's founder, the late Paul Harris, a Chicago lawyer who started Rotary with 3 business associates in 1905. So the individuals being presented with the Paul Harris Fellow recognition tonight joined the remarkable company of people throughout the world, all recognized for their commitment to service above self to benefit local and international communities. Turn it back to you.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to ask the members of our Paul Harris Fellow Committee to step forward, but we're going to be presenting 3 recognitions to 3 very deserving members of our club. All 3 are past presidents. All 3 have, earned this recognition through devotion to the club, hard work over years. And Paul Harris Fellow Committee got together and thought it was about high time that that we formally recognize them. So with that, over to Fred, I guess. Fred, Wayne, yeah, Fred and Wayne.
Yeah, well, I'll start off and then I'll do one presentation and then follow that by Wayne, if that's okay. I'd like to begin with maybe I'll just read my notes and see if you can guess who it is. There may be a clue on the hat. Anyway, I need to surely address him with his full name. Gord Wallace, my introduction notes and conversation. We were very fortunate. April 2007, a great big gorilla walked through the door, and it was Gord Wallace. And he came in with Don Hutton, who was his sponsor. So that's when he joined Rotary. His first assignment, and I remember it well because I was there with Chuck Catron. It was to start a rib fest for Canada Day long weekend. And that year we had 2 of them. In 2008, they were almost back to back in the same season. Gord didn't know it then, but he was being groomed and selected for bigger and better things. A few years later, President Lyle Gooden asked him to join his board of governors as a director. One of them left the club for personal reasons, so Gord became the community service director. With $100,000 to spend, away he went. 2013, he was asked and elected to become, selected rather, to become vice president. 2014, and these are his words, in 2014, I became president with the least amount of confidence the club had ever seen and presided over the club very awkwardly, like Colonel Henry Blake in that manner. And I thought, oh God, Gord. Well, I may have lacked confidence, he said. The club support I got was unimaginable and life-altering almost. Those are my words. 2015, he volunteered to be the club's first full-time foundation chair when he was past president. Prior to that was a duty of the international director. He did some education with the club so as to increase regular monthly donations to the foundation while serving as foundation chair. I was part of the PFH committee. Got a chance to work with my pal Fred, and I got to know Gord really well. First elected to the board with President Burns serving as club service. He was club service director, and this year serving as membership director under President Kay. Gord's comment just had a few passing things, and ironically, one is having to do with Ellie Brooks. Proposed shopping program to the club, and it seemed to be one of the many bright programs enjoyed by the club during this COVID. Joined the district team as an ADG and continued to be a very proud Rotarian. And that certainly says very much about Gord Wallace. In the 14 years of his Rotary life, he met several of the finest people. Many have departed, and many who are left are great friends, mentors, and just fun people to be around. Well, Mr. Wallace, the pleasure of meeting and working with you has been ours, and most certainly you've been beneficial to all concerned. I give you Gord Wallace.
Fred, that's fantastic. Well done. And most deserving. It's hard to present these things remotely. You'd like to shake hands. Gord, you're most deserving of this award. And everyone, you try and keep a secret from Gord Wallace. Can't be done. Ordered these once the Paul Harris Fellow Committee voted, and we ordered everything. I spoke to Kim and said, "This is happening. Can you try and keep the secret?" Knowing full well it would never happen, because Gord almost immediately saw the points come down out of the club's points online, and then all of a sudden the uptick in his Paul Harris points. He is a 6-time Paul Harris Fellow. The first 5, I think I got the number right. The first 5 are because of his donations to the foundation. This one is based on merit and just being a hell of a Rotarian. Thanks, Gord.
And now, Wayne Rowley.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate having the opportunity to introduce one of our own, namely John Burns, who this evening is being honored with a Paul Harris Fellow recognition. John retired in July 2014, and in August 2014, John joined the Bowmanville Rotary Club. Prior to retiring, John attended many meetings as a guest of Pauline's and volunteered his time when available. John was a vice president in 2017-18. He was president in 2018-19, and currently is an assistant district governor. And he will be our district governor in 2022-23. He's been a major participant in our Rib Fest. He has chaired a number of committees. John has a history in 7 short years of commitments to the club, the district, and RI. He's a fun guy, and all the foregoing is in keeping with Rotary theme of service above self. Congratulations, John. Truly a proud Rotarian.
Wonderful.
And I think that's Pauline leaving her chair and the door opening. There she comes. Well done. Hugs and presentations. All right, that's great.
Oh my.
Most deserving, John. Most deserving. All right. Well, Fred, who's up next?
I'm up again, and my colleague and good friend, Tim Funchion, had a family affair or a family business to attend to in Toronto, so he couldn't make the meeting. Anyway, our next candidate, and the last one, or third one, is a wonderful person with generosity beyond compare. Jason Van Stippen joined Rotary October 2013. his sponsor, none other than my friend, Dandy Randy Henry. No, he's not a pool shark. I'm not sure quite what he is. I haven't seen him in a long time, but we've had a few meetings. Anyway, Randy is a business associate of Jason's and thought, hey, this guy might be good for our club, and he brought him in. His presidential year was 2019, 2020. So another fellow in 6 years leaped right into the top job. Among when I spoke with Jason about some of the memories he might have had during the year that he was president, maybe before and after, and how things changed. That was kind of the topic of our conversation. He was quick to remind me of a couple of things. He said, boy, oh boy, he said, I didn't realize that so many people love golf carts. And next thing you know, we were providing a valet service at Canadian Tire Motorsport Racetrack. I think we had 6 or 7 meetings there, or events to valet for, and it was really good. And plus we made a few bucks, which was always good. Next thing he remembered fondly, he said, jackets, hats, t-shirts, everywhere I go, he says, I'm always selling clothing. People think I own a company. He says, maybe we should buy one. Yeah, right. But that was, so the clothing is top end too. And then his probably his nearest and dearest to his heart, and those bloody Cuban cigars, stinky buggers that he smokes, is the Caesar bar for ribs and brews. Come up with the idea with Hutton, and probably DeRoche was involved in there with anything to do with the whiskey, because he just, I think he was born and weaned on vodka. Anyway, this was a profitable and popular new attraction, and I will guarantee, I'll bet $100 right now, and anybody wants to match it, that Caesar's Bar is still going to be one of the most popular venues at the next Rib Fest.
No one's going to take that bet, Fred. It's a lock.
Okay, the inauguration party. Who'd ever heard of it before? But you leave it to Steppy, and there was a good one. Again, it involved my good friend Ellie Brooks. Well, the inauguration party he's referring to is with 35, with our own club in June at Steppy's home. We were having our final year-end barbecue, and there was the transition from one president to the other. And I believe the president might have been SK right in front of us. He was the VP that year and getting on board. So the inauguration party combined, but it was a little different, this one. I think all he said to me was make it real special. He said, maybe you can bring some of those buddies from that international conference in Toronto, whatever it's called. He was referring to the RI conference. So Ellie Brooks had she was the lead on this whole project, and I gave her a hand with a couple of things. I didn't have to drive any buses or drive the train or anything, but we did manage to bring down 35 international Rotarians from the convention, and they came to Steppy's house, and boy, were they welcome. A lot of them didn't want to leave.
Make that 45.
Oh, it was 35, eh?
45.
Oh, 45. Oh yeah, I guess I forgot about the 10 people at the front of the bus. Okay, got it. But anyway, it was a heck of a year, and it rounded it off. It said everything about our club, our members, and our president. Now that I'm 75, I used to public speak for a living when I was a school principal, and it didn't matter what I was talking about. I need to tell you this aside. I'd never get teary-eyed. I'd always laugh and joke. Not anymore. Something happens at 75. I think you lose a bit of that, and you just get a little bit weepy pretty easy because you're so bloody grateful for everything that's going on. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. Sorry about that. Anyway, following year, the inauguration for the incoming president, Steve Kay, was just as delightful and crazy. We had it at Steppies again. And hopefully next year we'll have one there too. Another couple of things he mentioned was there was a finance committee that was used quite a bit, and use of the club runner, thanks to Lyle, those things happened. The other part was that he brought this up. He met John Burns and Steve Kay and Kevin and Gord, and got to know them and worked with them at this Rib Fest, to the extent that these guys became close friends and still are to this day. Generous with his time, equipment, expertise from business experience, and his smile and positive attitude and those stinky cigars. That's the best way I describe my friend Jason. And we became good friends too. Family is most important in the total scheme of things. This, maybe I should have left this out because it makes me cry. But anyway, he traveled to Europe with his invalid father and mom. They were always included at all our events. Again, the pleasure of meeting and working with you has been ours, and most certainly you've been beneficial to all concerned. Jason Van Stippek. Paul Harris, extraordinaire. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Another well-deserved. And Fred, you made a point there that's dawned on me. All three of these guys have become very friends of mine because of Rotary, as have all of you, right? It stresses out. Jason, you had a lousy year. Sorry, that sounded wrong. But because COVID came along, you had a lot of plans, and then they all got scuttled. And what do, right? And you made the rest of the year work really well. Good job, Jason. That transition from what we normally do into the unknown, you've managed very, very well. You've never met a guy that says yes to helping out more often than Jason. So, with that, congratulations to all three, well deserved. We've got a little bit of an activity now. We'll see if we get time for the breakout rooms, but people can choose to stay on or not. But Pauline suggested something a little bit fun. I know it's getting loud in the background here, but I asked everyone to send in pictures. Yeah, some of you did, right? But I want everyone to, this is one of those honesty sorts of things, right? So I want everyone to guess who everyone is as we go through. Actually, we'll just do it live rather than keeping score for. So pipe up first as I share my screen, and tell us who you think each person is as I work through this deck of pictures. Here we go, and I'll turn it into presentation mode. All right. Does anyone know who this is?
See it.
Wayne Routley.
Wayne.
It's not Wayne.
I don't know.
Mike DeRoche.
Mike, not Mike DeRoche.
What about Chris?
Not Chris. Chris is coming up later.
It's Fred.
It's Big Dog. That's right. Well done. All right.
Smile.
Oh. Number two. Number two. Any guesses for number two here?
Ellie.
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 Not Ellie. Not
Gail.
Ellie.
Linda Mays. Linda.
The hair's dark.
Remember, it's a color photo, so it's got to be Rachel.
It's not Rachel, but you're onto it with the color photo.
Pauline.
Leanne.
Yeah.
Nope. It is Jen Turner. newly returned Rotarian. Jan.
Thanks, Jan.
So
That-
the
once
part
you,
of that
once you know
picture,
it, you totally see it, right?
part of that picture you can't see is that on the bottom of that swimsuit was written, "I'm a little tax deduction."
That's awesome. Why did you cut that out?
Ask my parents. Oh, I could have
All
sent
right.
you that picture, but that would have been a little offside for Rotary because I had no top on.
Okay, well, there you go. Fair enough. Okay. Guess
That's
who's
right.
on number 3? Is who?
Chris, I say Chris.
Chris.
That's 4.
It's not Chris.
Gord
Curly
Wallace.
hair.
It's not Gord.
It's Wayne Routley.
It is not Wayne Routley.
Oh. It's Gord Wallace then.
Not Gord.
Okay.
Joe
Joe.
Solway.
Joe
Mr. Solway
Solway.
told me that he didn't have any baby pictures or any pictures as a kid. I said, come on, everyone's got to have one. So very cute, Joe. Very cute.
Joe.
If
That's
my
the only
father's,
time I'm gonna
if my
remember
father's
you.
still, if my father's still on, he can actually attest to the fact that there are no baby pictures of Gord Wallace.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
He's too cheap to buy a camera.
All right, number 4.
Aw, Rachel.
Rachel.
Oh, yeah.
Not Rachel. Not Rachel.
Oh, Rebecca.
Rebecca,
Oh,
yeah.
for sure it's
Yeah,
Rebecca.
it's
Yeah.
Rebecca. Yeah. Very cute, Rebecca. Okay. Who we got here? Everyone's getting a little gun shy now. They've been wrong a lot.
Yeah.
Newish Rotarian. I'll give you a hint.
Steve Burnett.
Okay, it's a girl, newish Rotarian.
Leah? No, Leah.
Leah.
Nope.
Nope.
Lisa.
Lisa Tamlin. There you go.
I see it.
With all the toys a toddler could dream of, right there.
Yeah. The farmyard.
Yeah. Okay, who's this? I don't know what Chris set this picture in.
God, what a
Scary.
Very young.
If that was a baby, so I'm
What
so
a beautiful
sorry for,
baby.
Chris, I'm so sorry for your mom. That wasn't very hard. Okay, who's that?
Oh, that's Routley.
No.
Not Routley.
No.
Mike DeJoshi.
John Burns.
Not Pauline or John Burns or Wayne Routley?
Don Gleed.
Mike.
Is it Don Gleed?
Nope. It's a woman.
Gail?
That's Linda.
Linda.
Linda Mays. System of elimination. There we go.
Jeez.
I think you guessed
Still got the
everyone
same-
else in the
she's
club
still got the
first.
same mouth. I think the mouth is still the same.
Ah, there you go.
Nice feet.
That's Wayne.
No.
Wayne, you're really popular.
Everybody
It's
looks
not
like
Wayne.
Wayne.
That's me on the right. No.
That's Lyle Good.
That's John Burns.
That's Lyle
That's
Good.
John.
Lyle.
Lyle Gooden. Good one, John.
Lyle
Good one.
Gooden.
You got it. You got it.
Lyle, what's the
Lyle
dog's
Gooden.
name? What was the dog's name, Lyle?
That's the neighbor's dog. It was taken at the neighbor's house. The dog's name is Pal.
No.
Wow. Yep. And the picture was titled Lyle and his pal. So
What were you mad
Excellent.
at, Lyle?
Pardon?
What were you mad at in that picture?
Ellie.
Ellie.
That's Ellie.
Ellie.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely Ellie. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
first guess, the only one that was super obvious, I guess. There we go.
What's obvious about it?
That it looks like you.
The smile.
Exactly like you.
Yeah.
You haven't changed.
Yeah, angelic.
Oh, jeez, a wabbit.
That's got to be Wayne Routley.
No.
Well, why wouldn't you guess Wayne Routley? Listen, is that Wayne Routley? It could be, right?
That's Wayne Routley.
No.
You have to realize my mother just cut a foot of my hair off there.
Oh, jeez. Thank you.
Okay, who's this? It's not Wayne
Bill?
Routley.
It's Steve K.
Oh, no, the nose is too small.
I can't
It's
see the
Steve K.
nose.
I think that's Amy.
Is it Amy?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Rachel.
Rachel boy.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, they're super cute.
Floppy ears.
All right.
Oh,
Wayne
my.
Nutley.
No.
That's DeRoche.
It's not Wayne.
That's the best picture.
Oh, that's wild.
That wins the
that's
prize.
a good one.
That's cute.
Do we have any other guesses? I think my internet faded.
Yeah, that's
Dave Sullivan would
DeRoche.
be the other guess, but
It's DeRoche.
Not-
It's when cameras were invented.
Not DeRoche.
Sullivan,
Not-
Dave Sullivan.
Listen, yeah, Dave's a handsome devil, but he's not that handsome.
It must be
Is that
Steve
you,
K
Steve?
then.
That's
Steve
Steve
K.
There you go. All right, so Leah didn't really get the purpose of this, but here are her two beautiful children, right?
My attention to detail was clearly lacking this week. I read it quick, and in a flurry last night, I sent it to Steve, and I don't. Anyways, yeah, those are my
Listen.
2 kids. So
Ella and Curtis are adorable, so that's fantastic, right?
Wonderful.
Where are the Christmas lights,
All right.
Steve? I don't see them.
Oh, well, they're not going to be any there. Now, who's this?
Pauline.
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 Oh, look at that.
Oh.
Another first guesser. You can totally see it.
Yeah. Adorable.
What are you pondering there, I wonder?
Still
Right?
got the same thoughtful expression.
I think I'm scared of the camera.
I think she has a sore tooth. Oh, that's Amy.
Oh, I should know this one.
That's Amy.
No, no, not Sammy.
No.
Not Amy.
No? Looks
It's
like
Leah.
a
Cat.
Leah.
No.
Oh, wow.
Not Leah. No, remember, Leah sent the wrong picture in.
Leanna.
Leanna. Yeah.
Leanna. Yes.
Yeah. The cat
Leanna.
gives it away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
That's Wayne.
wait.
No,
It's
No,
not
Looks
Wayne.
like Spanky, just saying.
it's,
Oh, sad.
Alfalfa
DeRoche.
was cut out of the
DeRoche.
picture, right?
John Barnes.
Mike
DeRoche.
DeRoche.
Not DeRoche.
John Barnes.
John Burns. Well done, Linda.
Yes, it is.
Okay, and last but not least, I will tell you straight off the bat that this one is not Wayne Routley.
Aw.
That's
That's
Amy.
Amy.
It's Amy.
Amy,
Looks like
of course it's
Amy,
Amy.
yeah.
It's Amy.
Can we use that as the incoming president picture?
No.
Yeah, it might be the new logo of the Bowmanville Rotary Club. Who
There it
knows,
is.
right?
Aw,
Love it.
that's so cute. So
That was kind of fun.
That was a great
done.
idea.
Wayne, you got a lot of benefit from not sending a picture in. That was,
actually, Steve, I did send one in.
did you?
Yeah.
Well, I missed it.
No,
Okay.
that's
Well,
okay.
I'll have to
But
find
I
it and share
got
it.
more recognition without it being shown. So that's
I'm sorry.
that's even better.
I did
Oh,
a bit of a true up today, and I thought I found
No,
all the ones that
that's
I hadn't
okay.
copied
No.
down. But
Steve, mine too. Forgot mine. I know, wasn't.
okay, well, listen, I might have to check my spam and see if you and Wayne ended up in there or not, right?
That's I've ended up lots of places.
There
Jason,
you go. There you go.
Jason, your baby picture would have had a cigar in its mouth, and we'd have known right away anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what, Wayne? You texted. I think both you, Tiffy, texted me your pictures, and that's why I missed them. Sorry.
That's
Yeah,
what I did. Yeah. Okay.
my bad.
That's okay. I don't mind.
I'll find it and show it up.
It
for
was
everyone,
it was
for the-
81 years ago anyway, so
Fair enough.
it's kind of dated.
Well, listen, we're quarter past the hour. You know, we had thought we might spend a half an hour and break up and have a chat. There we go. Nice one, Jason. That was it.
Oh, wonderful.
Wayne Routley, Jason.
Making a deal already.
All right.
Okay, I
Um,
have to go.
Well, listen, is everyone up to kind of break out and have a bit of a chat, or we're
I've got some
past the
thoughts
hour
to
now?
bring
Maybe
in.
It's enough. It's enough.
Just keep going.
like
Gotta have dinner.
all right,
Steve,
perfect.
Steve,
Yep.
could I just say a couple of quick things?
Sure.
First thing is to congratulate Gordon and Jason, and to thank the club for the recognition that you have given the three of us. I certainly appreciate it, and I'm sure the other two do as well.
Well deserved.
Well deserved, absolutely, absolutely. So we're back to Tuesday morning meeting. So when we talk next Tuesday at 7:30 morning, it'll be 4:30 in the morning my time. So so I'll be a little bit groggy. Bear with me. But there we go. Have a great week, everyone. If you haven't already signed up, try and sign up for the district conference. I have sent a link to everyone. Should be a good time. We're planning an event, although it's not fully baked yet. What I thought was we'd do a beach cleanup down at West Beach in Bowmanville. If you want to ride your bike down, that'd be great. If not, it's okay. You can drive your car. And I'm going to have a talk with, assuming that everything is opened up at time, I'm going to have a talk with Johnny Cowlings at Chronicle, and we'll get on our bikes or into our cars and go over and have a bit of a social afterwards at Chronicle Brewing on Lake Road. Okay?
Also, Steve, it should be mentioned that they've opened up or are soon to open up the new extension to the Bowmanville Valley Path. And that's going to connect the waterfront trail down, and then you'll be able to access the West Beach more easily instead of trying to, play chicken with the cars on Liberty Street.
You got it.
So that should be noted for people who might be a little bit, afraid of riding your bike down there. There's that new path that's available.
And Steve, I'm happy to provide gloves and garbage bags. Okay,
so we'll have gloves, garbage bags, and we'll do some cleaning, and then a pint. And they often on weekends have a food truck down there, so I'll see if Johnny's going to have that for that time.
What was the date again?
About all I can do is show up to the club.
Saturday, the 26th of June, I think, if the 26th is Saturday. I think so. All right.
Hey, Steve,
And, yep.
are you in a mask-free world down there?
It will be mask-free as of June 1st.
Yeah.
I've left the TV on.
So we're almost mask-free down here, and it's a little bit strange, but I'm getting used to it. Everyone I'm around is double vaccinated, so it helps. It makes me feel a lot better.
Do you not find that the double vaccinators are like bragging? Like, I'm double vaccinated.
Yeah. And no one brags down here because it's just the norm, right? So with that, and I don't have my cheat sheet for the 4-way test in front of me, so I get through about 3, and everyone else can help me out because I haven't memorized it still. If there's nothing else for the good of Rotary.
4-1 for Montreal.
Yeah, I know. That's not good for Rotary. It's not for anyone.
Fire in the stove.
All right. There's nothing else for the good of Rotary. Remember the things we say, and is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Is it beneficial? And Pauline, help me with the rest.
Will it build goodwill and friendship?
Will it build goodwill and friendship, and it's beneficial to all concerned? Whatever. Close enough. I've recorded this, so now it's in perpetuity that almost a year into my presidency, I still don't know the damn 4 ways. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
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 Take care.
Bye.